We are here with Paul Kamenar. He is of counsel to the National Legal and Policy Center. Paul has been attending the Supreme Court hearing, the arguments with regard to birthright citizenship. And Paul, this is a case where I know that the president signed an executive order essentially doing away with birthright citizenship based on his read of the Constitution, right. Certain amendments to the Constitution. But I understand that, strictly speaking, that wasn't at issue in this Supreme Court case. Yeah. What's going on with the case? What is the issue in the Supreme Court case if we aren't talking necessarily about the Constitution and the president's executive order specifically pertaining to birthright citizenship?
Right, yeah. The issue before the court today was whether 3 district courts that were involved in the case before the court, could each one of those courts issue what's called a nationwide or universal injunction stopping Trump's executive order from being applied across the land. And what the government is arguing is that, wait a minute, you should only give relief if you think that we're wrong here. Your injunction should only apply to the plaintiffs who've come before you, not everybody in the country.
And what is your sense from hearing the arguments from the justices? Usually you can get a sense of where they're coming down on this. Obviously, it seems like the minority justices, the left-leaning justices, which I believe there are 3 of them, probably know which way they're going. And there's always a question, I think, with regard to Justice Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, who always seem to be up in the middle. Right. Do we have a sense of where the justices are going on this question?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, there are a lot of questions asked of the government attorney, the Solicitor General, by Amy Coney Barrett, that kind of suggested that she may be leaning on the side of the plaintiffs. But there's another issue that was involved here that had people concerned, and that is class actions. Under the law, if you want a nationwide ruling, simply go get a class action. And that would apply to everybody who's in that class, namely all citizens who are being born of illegal parents. So even Justice Kagan, I believe, had some trouble with these universal or nationwide injunctions because they were used against Joe Biden. Recall when there's some litigation challenging as a vaccine amendment, one court said, no, your mandate is illegal across the country, and they had a problem there. So it's going to be interesting to see whether they come to a realization, say, yeah, these nationwide injunctions are abusive because you can do forum shopping, you can pick your judge that you like. Yeah. But now they're going to say, well, how are we going to square that if we only want to rule against Trump in this case?
So is the Supreme Court trying to answer both of these questions at the same time, the issue of the rogue judges and then the issue of birthright citizenship? Is this like a twofer for them? Is that why they chose this case?
Well, no. They're not going to rule on the other issue, although legally speaking, they could have said, okay, we're going to take up the merits of the case. And eventually they will. At some point, this will go to the Supreme Court.
So when we see a decision by the Supreme Court, what's that going to look like? What are they going to say one way or another?
Well, one way or the other, they're going to either say nationwide injunctions that were issued are lawful and that's going to continue, or they could say, no, they're unlawful and you've got to just have individual judges ruling only on the plaintiffs you have there.
But now this is the question, though, because birthright citizenship, you're either a citizen of America or you're not, regardless of what district or what circuit you're in, right?
That is true. But the plaintiffs are filing on behalf of citizens in a particular state. So that means under the rules of procedure, any ruling in their favor only applies to those people in that state who filed a lawsuit. Somebody in New Jersey who's an illegal alien cannot file a suit in California and say, yeah, I'm challenging you.
So now if somebody was born in California, they would be a citizen, but then somebody born in Indiana would not be a citizen of illegal parents?
That's exactly right, unless the court's rule there.
Could rule on that?
The court could say that so far is okay until this gets up to the Supreme Court, then we'll issue a ruling once and for all for everybody.
Paul Kamenar, counsel for the National Legal and Policy Center.
Yes.
Also a frequent panelist on Weekly Briefing. Thank you for talking to us. It's always a pleasure.
My pleasure.